hope he can be nicer to Gary Woods, who is trying to make moves, and you might not agree with all of his moves, but I think he's trying. He's making an effort.
I think he's being effective personally. I don't know how you guys don't see it. I think his efforts are highly effective. I mean, did you see the thing where he posted like a few months ago where he was like at this Dubai conference and all the people that were there, like how many millionaires and how many billionaires were in the same building as him at that time?
And how many recognize him?
It doesn't matter if they recognize him or not. He's actually out there, and maybe they'll recognize him next time he goes to the same conference as them. That's how marketing works.
Yeah, maybe he should get another. Maybe he should do 2 videographers. Maybe he should have 2 people following him around recording him.
I don't know. Like, I don't think like these $1 million buys and sells, it affects Pulse, but it's not like it's going to send it negative 50%. Like the SEC fund was the killer. But like, you know, since Richard Hart came in and said he's actually fighting, it's only up from here.
Like the best onboarding tool that we've discovered so far is a SAC address moving $5 million into the chain. It got amplified by I don't know at this point 10 times.
He leveraged it.
It's like
he used a different form of leverage to pump his own project, which is the absolute smartest thing, the alpha you could possibly do. So the billion in sacrifice value could turn out to be 10 billion in actually economic power.
Well, can you imagine Richard just probably laid out a couple $1 million on lawyers, moves 5 million into Pulsechain, doubles it up. This is the real alpha. Well, the next generation. We're all trying to figure out how do we sell this to each other, this guy or that guy. The 10,000X is selling it to the next generation. Let me tell you why. Because money becomes worthless. So if you bought your house and then you sold it to that nice new couple that just had a kid, well, you probably 10x what you paid for your house because you sold it to the next generation. So this is really what this is about. This is why he instilled the 15-year concept and all this stuff. It's because you have to understand that the base, the dollar itself, what everything is priced in, depreciates over time. So if your asset is good enough that it's still relevant and desirable by the next generation, that's your 10,000, 100,000 crazy astounding X. That's how you do it. I know nobody wants to hear that because that's going to take time, but that's the real game. Sell it to the next generation, not just back and forth to each other.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. I don't know what you're talking about. That's how I've been thinking the whole time anyway.
90% of their bag when they were trying to position well, and they just had to hold on, right? All they had to do was chill and not touch anything or just buy the dips. But this is how we go higher, though. People have to sell. Like Hextronaut is saying, people are literally selling their whole bags, which is really funny at these prices because that means we're going to go higher, right? There'll be no one to sell above us because the people like you and me aren't going to be selling and we're accumulating. So that just means there will come that point where it's like, oh, well, now there's no sellers, so we just go higher because we're just keep buying and the buy and burn buys and the OA buys. And oh, man, people have no idea what's going on, do they?
A lot of them, they keep their head down, right? Like they just go with the motions.
It's funny, but you realize that the little guys are pushing the price up. It's not just the big wallet. There's a lot of little buys going in here, and it makes a big difference. Whales don't even like to go in a place alone. They like to go where there's a bunch of little guys pushing too. Pulsex pair, $50 million liquidity pool. Good. Beast. Hex Pulse 27 mil. Yeah. I don't know. We're on another run though. People doubted it. Again, this is the funnest part of the bull market is when people doubt. And it's like, you guys don't get it. That's cool. Because
1 ETH gets you 68,839 hex.
Yeah, that's a good range. 60,000, 50,000 hex, 60,000 hex for 1 ETH is good. That's a good range for me. I mean, that to me is like, I want to buy because it's dirt cheap if it's 60,000 hex to 1 ETH. And yeah, you could say, oh, wow, the adoption amp. But you know what? Most people who were in the AA on eHex were putting in 1 ETH, okay, or less. There's people like Trayvon James, who people think has a lot of hex. But guess what? He admitted on stream he had 19 million hex, of which he only bought like 1 million. So that's not that great. He probably sold a bunch. I mean, he said he keeps selling. every hex date comes out, he nukes it, he sells it. So that means he has a lot less than that now. And he was only DC quote unquote A-ing into the AA lobby, only 0.1 ETH. Okay? 0.1. So that means if he got the very, very best price on X, he only put in $10 or $20 in that day, which means he only got like 100,000 X. So it's really laughable. Like, I know people like to listen to FUD and listen to people like that, but it's really dust in an ecosystem like ours at this point, right? When you got a guy who used to buy like 100,000 X. That's a lot. Yeah, he didn't spend much for it, but then again, he's not retired from Hex. I can tell you that much. Still, he'll get people to FOMO in too. He started talking about, oh, this is Hex candles. We're getting Hex candles over on Pulsechain. So yeah, people will buy in whether they like us or not. It doesn't matter. They'll buy in. Oh yeah, look at all these sellers on ink. Oh my goodness, it's the funniest thing. So I'm holding some of my ink that I'm earning. So I'm gonna keep some ink I earn, put it on my Pulsex, just kind of build up that LP. Then some of my ink I'm pushing into Hex, so I could start to build up a little liquid bag, and then some of the ink's going to Pulse. So I'm splitting it up. I'm keeping some, and then I'm putting some up to Pulse and some to Hex. And if I get enough of either, then eventually I'll probably put some into Pulsex too. But I have achieved pretty good on my Pulsex recently because that's what I just bought. So good times. Yeah, we're gonna get. I mean, did you see the judge smack the SEC in the face 1,000 times with the Coinbase case? I mean, man, SEC looked like it was a joke. I mean, I don't know.
I didn't even know that they had a trial going on.
Coinbase versus SEC is going on right now, and this judge is basically siding with Coinbase left and right and making the SEC look like they are clueless. So it's really funny. I think it's a she called staking, just basically a savings account. She was like, isn't that the same thing as a savings account? You just put some coins in and then you might get a little bit of yield. Sounds like a savings account. So, yeah, staking's not a security. It's just a savings account, guys. So, yeah, there's no laws. Like, the SEC's, they're crazy. There isn't any laws to tell them that any of this is anything. They're just making stuff up to try to make they're trying to make millions of dollars off. And this is Coinbase. Coinbase is a company. So if they can't prove Coinbase is running securities in their staking platform on their centralized app, how are you going to be able to do it with Hex? With no company where we run the code ourselves. We even have our own. Man, we don't even need a website anymore because we got our own app, local app. This is going to be so funny. Can you imagine when Richard Hart beats the SEC? What's going to happen to these prices? That's where
that's going to be awesome.
I mean, it's going to be funny because there'll be a few people who are like, sell the news! And then the price is going to pump after that, and they're going to be so left behind. Oh, it's going to be glorious. Yeah. And at this point, I don't think people understand, but Richard doesn't care too much about the SAC money or whatever. I mean, he has so much money that he could throw the entire thing into the ecosystem just for fun because he still has his other money that you don't know about. Oh man, the actual money. The $10 billion worth of Ethereum and Bitcoin he sold in 2021.
How much?
Well, according to my estimations, he had just the Bitcoin alone, he probably sold about $10 billion in cash in 2021. And I could be off. It could have been 5 billion to 15 billion. I don't know, but just from numbers I was running, I didn't find his wallets. I mean, there have been people who are pretty sure they know some of his Bitcoin wallets and they believe he has massive amounts of Bitcoin. So I was just estimating based upon, I did a video about it and I estimated how much he mined and purchased in Bitcoin back then. And it came up to between 50,000 to 150,000 Bitcoin. And if you would have sold the top on Bitcoin, which it was the first top, so it was 65,000. Let's just say you sold 60,000, right? $60,000 on. If you would have done 50,000 Bitcoins, that would have been $3 billion. If of course, and then if you ramp that up to 65,000 on 150,000, that's $10 billion on Bitcoin. There's also the ETH, right? So ETH's a little bit harder to calculate. I didn't actually do an estimate on it. We know there was 2.3 million ETH that went through the adoption amplifier. If he sold that at the first top, about $4,400, that's $10 billion. Okay. Oh, now he's a 20 billionaire. I don't know. Right? Like some of the ETH he probably bought Hex with, so it might be lower potentially. But you have to remember, even let's just say something so stupid like, oh, he only had $1 billion. Okay, what if he bought the Bitcoin low and the ETH low? And then even if he sold those right now, he would have tripled up, right? So even then, he would still have 3 to 5 billion, even if he was 10 times worse than what I'm saying, right? So, and then you have to remember yield. So there was like 45,000 Bitcoin that was moved, right? Which Dipcatcher was talking about that, right? Before we knew about Pulsechain launch, it was removed from like Aave or something, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. We don't know for sure that was Richard Haar, but it kind of makes sense since it was moving before any of us knew Pulsechain was live, right? Oh, man. So if that's true, like if that was his Bitcoin, let's just say, then okay, 45,000. So even after he sold all of his Bitcoin, maybe he bought back 45,000 Bitcoin at the low, right? Just for fun, right? Like let's say if you had 100,000 Bitcoin. Well, if you sell it at the top and then if you buy it back at the bottom, you get it for free, right? It's like 45,000 Bitcoins at 15 grand. Let's say 20 grand, because you could have easily bought it 20 grand. That's $900 million, which seems like a lot, but when you just made 10 billion, wouldn't you just, I'll just put 1 billion back and go buy my whole bag again? Might as well, just in case, it's going to go up, Bitcoin at 15, 16 grand. Come on. It's going to go up eventually. So why would you not buy your bag back, right? It's just a never ending. It's a never ending money making machine. It's just like me. Like I sold ink at between $40 to $80 ish, whatever. I sold it at 45, 50, 80, like all up as it was going up. I was selling ink. Well, all that ink that I sold, I could pick it up at 35 to 40 something cents. Shouldn't I do that? Like, who cares? It's a flyer. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, you made so much profits on the top. You could just throw something in at the bottom just in case. And that's kind of what I did. It worked out great. And ink's like 210 right now. It just keeps pumping, Everybody's selling it, so it's going to keep going up.
It's at 210? What the
Yeah,
crazy?
it's at 210. This thing can go up to 30 odd million. So it's about 15 million in stables alone just sitting there. That's good, but it'd be great to have even more, And if you have this much APRs, if it keeps like this, eventually more money's going to probably come in because they want that free money, right? It's kind of like the liquid loans. Oh, it's a miracle. It's paying 100%. Yeah, well, whatever it's paying out. Let me go check. I mean, Ink's doing the same thing. Stability pool. I mean, I don't know. I don't trust their website with what the liquid loans is telling me it's paying out. I don't trust that. They were very wrong in the beginning, and I still don't trust it. And the funny thing about this is, and I laugh at these people, but it's cool. I mean, I know, I get it. You want free money, so you put your USDL in this pool. They've got $27 million in the USDL, and they're earning 100% in a year, supposedly, right? Okay, so divide that out. You're earning like 0.25%, like 0.25% a day, right? 0.25% a day. But like I told people, there is risk to being in a stable coin during the bull market. This is high risk. Why? Because you don't get any of the gains. So you're trying hard to earn 100%. But remember, this went from 200% down to 100. So it's not going to be 100% in a year. Maybe it's 50% for the entire year. I don't know. But whatever it is, it didn't go up 400% in like 5 days. Right? Like all of these people should have taken their USDL and they should have bought Pulsex and Ink and Pulse and X. Right? Like the fact that they stayed in this pool and it's the majority of USDL. I mean, the total supply of USDL is 28.75 million. Okay, well, there's 27 million staked in USDL, so almost the entire amount of coins. Basically, what it means is right now, the Liquid Loans protocol has not helped our ecosystem at all, basically, is what it's saying. Because some of the USDL that was created should have pumped our bags, right? It should have bought something. Buy some Pulse, buy some Pulse X, buy anything. No, they're all sitting in this stability pool, which I get it, you want free money, but you're not buying the assets that are going up, so you're losing in the end, right? Like, yeah, you gain a quarter of a percent in these days, so maybe they gained 1%, while the people that held the Richard Hearts gained 200%, right? So good luck on your 1%. We just gained 200%. And it's really strange to me that I see the numbers not removing, right? Like, why wouldn't they move some of this stuff? Why isn't somebody tempted to say, wow, Richard Hearts are going up. I got to get out. I got to get into some of this. Like, pull out of there, buy some Pulsex or buy some Ink or buy some whatever you're gonna buy. Hex didn't get the full pump. All right, buy some Hex. It's probably going to 12 cents this year minimum. I mean, that's like it's happened every single year for 3 years. It's probably gonna happen for the fourth year in a row. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But if we go to 12 cents, and let's just say we're not even at 2 cents on Hex right now, so that's another 700% gain, right? So you're trying to earn 100%, and now you're going to lose 700%, just trying to gain that 100, which you might not even get that 100. I mean, you'll probably get, from here on out, maybe you'll get 60% or 50. It might drain down, I don't know. And the other thing is this percent is geared on the loan coin, which, I mean, I know it's heavily manipulated, but let's see where we're at on the loan. The loan. So you're also
Loan
to me
that coin is
the
a dump
loan.
coin though. Like they
Yeah, it's a
dump it.
dump coin, and they have a lot of it. I mean, there's like 6 trillions of these bad boys, and not everybody has their loan coin yet. A lot of people pushed it out into the future, so they're gonna dump it once they get the
I
coin
did.
finally. Yeah,
I have like
which
six more claims to do.
yeah, and I mean, I did some of this. I was into the USDL Pulse pair because it was paying out more than the stability pool. So why would I do the stability pool when I could just have half Pulse, half USDL? At least I have some upside from the Pulse, and then I also got twice the yield as this 100. I was earning like 200, 300%. You know, so the yield was 1% a day, which was great, and I had some of the Pulse upside, so it was working out. I think that the LP rewards is done, right? It said for 42 days.
Wasn't
So
it a
I'm pretty
couple
sure
weeks?
it was 42 days, and then I was done. So
Oh,
yeah, that was cool. I mean, I liked it a lot, but I'm actually curious to see like how much money's still in there after they cancel the program. But yeah, you're right. It's a dump coin. It's been up, but it's funny because I see these founders, and it seems like they're scrambling to pump their coins up while Richard Hart's coins pump up because they don't want to, show that they're being left behind. But they can only do that until they run out of money, right? And I think Richard Hart will not run out of money compared to them first, right? Their desire to hold up their own coins is probably going to be a lot lower. I'll just let them go. So anyway, the loan coin is 0002 and Pulsex is 0005. And it used to be that they were almost equal in price. So it's kind of funny because Pulsex has exploded higher where the loan has been stuck. And so I liked the loan because it was similar to Pulsex price, so I could take my loans I was earning and I could push them into Pulsex because it was close, right? Basically.